Namaste and welcome to anyone who's new. So we are doing this Gita Mananam, which is a little different than just Gita classes, which we also have been doing. And so these classes are just like for us to contemplate on the Gita shlokas and so selective shlokas. So we will start today. I'm just going to present the shlokas, and you can just take a time if you want to use any notebook and just make notes. That's also fine. Or if you want to just mentally contemplate on this, that is whatever works for you. Okay. So we'll begin now with I'm just going to present the shlokas. So these shlokas here, if you can see, so this is just the Bhagavad Gita things. So the first one, as we know, we are looking at the Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So this, as we know from the Bhagavad Gita, this is the situation where Arjuna has come on the battlefield and he's now trying to come to the point whether to fight in the war or not. So now this pravachan or that teachings that Lord is going to give is given for all of us. So we can just use this opportunity to just contemplate what the battle of life for each of us. The Dharma Kshetra. What is Dharma Kshetra for Arjuna may not be the exact Dharma Kshetra for us. So our battles of life. So if you just kind of think of our life, each of our lives, what is the battle we have to face? Each of us are faced with a certain battle in life. Meaning battle doesn't mean outward physical battle. It is a battle mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, socially, all this level. What we feel is good and what we are challenged with, either outwardly or inwardly. So this is a Vishada Yoga or Arjuna's despondency, as it is called. So this is where the first shloka is actually is introducing to us. What is the first shloka? Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakah pandavas chaiva kimakurvata sanjaya. So there, this is Dhritarashtra is actually asking Sanjaya, "Oh Sanjaya, on this holy land, Dharmakshetra of Kurukshetra, the physical land, when my people, meaning my soldiers, my people who represent me, and those who are Pandavas have gathered together, what did they do?" So this question is a very deep question. Yoga, that question here of Bhagavad Gita is a very deep psychological, philosophical question that all of us are supposed to ask. So what is the question we are supposed to ask? So this is the manana, which we introspection we have to do. So we can here, of course, now or after the class, you all can also think about these questions. So it's like in my routine of life, in my own life, in my routine, meaning different activities of my life. When I come across things such as desires, fear, anger, jealousy, all these things we have to go through it, right? So each one of us, when we face these challenges, and I also know either from my teachings I've learned from scriptures or the higher wisdom I've gathered, that there is a deeper urge to be free from these emotions, because these emotions are not my natural state. So every day, every moment in my life, I have this choice whether I follow those desires, anger, fear, and those kind of tendencies, or I choose those deeper call, deeper urge for freedom, for liberation. My own freedom, meaning like if I'm free from anger, if I'm free from fear, I feel much better. I feel in a much more positive place where I can do or say something. So this manana, this thing, that question, all of us need to ask ourselves. And similarly, on those lines, the other question is like, what are the battles I have to face in my life? So, what are my bad habits, my harmful patterns? And then, what are my noble aspirations, resolutions? What resolutions I have, what positive things I have. So, this we have to make a note. We have to try to even write down. Writing down is very useful with all this. So, the manana here is that not so much like we are trying to come up and say this is what you should do. Of course, generally we are saying in terms of approaches, but specifically how it applies to each one is different. So the message of Bhagavad Gita starts with this. The whole teachings of Bhagavad Gita, it is a call for us to introspect, to look within and ask ourselves, what are these urges, what are these patterns, and how do we overcome them by using the teachings, using that higher knowledge and the higher wisdom. Okay. So this it says so some inspirational words here. So first is this being true to ourselves. That many times what happens, we are not able to be really true to ourselves. That egoic identity in us, doesn't allow us to transparently, honestly do an impartial observation. So for a sadhaka of Bhagavad Gita, one who has come to study Bhagavad Gita, this ability to have this impartial observation, to impartially, meaning not have that thing that I am better than others or I'm also worse than others, but just try to look impartially where I am, what I need to change. So that introspection has to align with the highest inspiration from the. If I have my own understanding, then that understanding is always limited, right? And that is why we study Bhagavad Gita. So the ability to study, contemplate on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is this ability for us to come from a higher place of wisdom, which the rishis and of course here Lord Bhagavan has given us these teachings directly. So, but being able to apply that. Okay, so now I will just go through and you all can make notes, what works, what things you have to introspect on. The next shloka, so we're not doing every shloka one by one in Manana. We just go to the main shlokas, which help us to introspect. Tasman narha vayam hantum dhartarashtran sabhandhavan swajanam hi katam hatva sukhina syama madhava. So now Arjuna is now saying to Krishna why he doesn't want to fight. So this is also some applicable to us. We also sometimes come up with these kind of reasons and excuses. So this here helps us to become aware. So he says, therefore we cannot destroy our own relatives. In this case, the sons of Dhritarashtra relatives. How can we be happy, O Madhava, by killing our own kindred or our own people? So that is the dilemma that Arjuna is facing. How do I kill my own people? So if we were to ask this question to ourselves, how do we ask this question to ourselves? So first is, do I justify my actions or inactions whenever I have responsibility in my life? When there is responsibility, how do I tend to justify them by not fulfilling my actions? And then it goes on, we can also ask ourselves, like, am I afraid of disassociating with those who pull me downward spiritually and influence me negatively? So sometimes we feel sympathy towards people, or we feel weak within ourselves. Then what happens when you're too weak? We're not able to say no. This ability to say no to things that are harmful or doesn't help us. This is an important spiritual quality. In fact, in our spiritual life, out of 10 times to things, 8 times we have to say no, at least 8 times. So that is a important quality of a sadhaka, a spiritual aspirant. Saying no to things that are going to revive my unhealthy tendencies. Within these relatives are not outward relatives. These relatives and friends are our own inner friends, our own in disguise. Sometimes the friends as enemies. So we ourselves don't have that power, that capacity, that strength to say no to things. So that why is it that? Because there's a certain fear that if I say no, I disassociate. What will happen to me? How will things go? So this is where that our own inner faith is lacking. Our own inner sense of taking. So that is why we take the scriptures. We take the help of guru, rishis, traditions. Because when we turn to them, when we look up to them, they give us a right understanding. So many times what happens in our worldly life, we are willing to associate with our friends and people who are kind of turning us into wrong direction. But we are not willing to go towards teachers or the texts or the sources of that knowledge. So that is where Arjuna is at this point. He has not asked for teaching yet. He's come to that own conclusion. So he's not turned completely to Lord Krishna. So that is also our state in many times. Okay, some words of inspiration to look at it in a different perspective. Whenever life takes us too down, we have to rise up to that challenge. Challenges are what gives us strength. They develop our inner character. They make us stronger. So taking responsibility for our own life, not running away, not escaping. That is where we build character. That is the whole reason why our life presents us these situations. So mercilessly, meaning we should not become too sympathetic towards our bad tendencies, our negative emotions. Like, it's okay, I will deal with that. Like many times, people, when we get addicted to something, whether it's food or even, um, things such as programs or people mainly. All these things are negative associations, and we become somewhat sympathetic with ourselves, and we say, okay, it's okay, I can't deal with this. See, that is where we are postponing, because that will not bring us happiness. So this is where the battle of Arjuna is a battle for all of us. We are saying no. We are saying we are not able to say no to people and situations and to things which keep us addicted. But what happens? We compromise our peace with that. We let go of that opportunity to find peace and happiness. Okay, so this is where the reality of life is that all of us, all our lives are a opportunity for us. Sometimes when we look at the karma, sometimes we say that this is my karma. That is not the right way. Karma is not just retributive, meaning it is not just out to get you. Karma is there to also present us an opportunity to rise above that potential suffering. Karma is also that philosophy where it can lead us to freedom if we take it in the right way. So whatever karma we have to face, it gives us an opportunity to rise above that. Okay. All right. So now we go to the second chapter. The second chapter, the one of the shlokas, the second shloka in the second chapter. Now Bhagavan responds to Arjuna in a very strong way. He says, Kutastva kaschalamidam vishame samupasthitam anaryajushtama swargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. So the Lord tells Arjuna that in this crucial moment, when you're expected to do what you have to do, every moment is a crucial moment in our life. Because in this moment, we can overcome something. We can act positively. We can choose freedom. We can choose happiness. So he says, how does this disgraceful and delusive despondency, sacrilegious and inappropriate for people like you, and he's in a certain state, right? He's a certain duty. Don't give in to such tendencies of impotency, O Partha, as it doesn't befit you. Because you have a lot of abilities. So each of us have that greatest ability, which is that we have that nature of Atma Tattva, that consciousness. We are that pure entity, that pure potential is in all of us. No one at no point in their life are in any way lesser in their inner capacity. So this is where our weakness of the heart, that is a battle we have to do. When we listen sometimes too much to some different kinds of talk, motivational talks, people sometimes tell us it is okay, we can deal with this later, or time will heal, time will make you better. So this present moment, this very moment in our life is an opportunity to wake up, to be better, to overcome our habits, our negative tendencies, our negative emotions. So that is what Arjuna is being told here, that get up, just as how you battled in the thing. Inwardly also you should battle. That is what the Lord is advising Arjuna situation. So how do we contemplate on this? So this is where in these classes we are trying not to learn exact meaning of the shlokas. We are focusing on how to implement it in our life, how to contemplate about it in our life. So now this shloka, some questions to think about. So here the way to look at it is that we have to think, do I have a tendency to wallow in self-pity? Meaning, do I have a tendency to kind of say, oh, this is happening to me, this is not good? So that is what Arjuna was facing there. Do certain tendencies, urges, or outer conditions, do they pull me down? Do they make me feel like I'm weak, I'm hopeless, I can't do anything? This is what many times people, when they are strongly they are called as having this suicidal tendencies, sometimes at a very extreme level. Like people feel that I'm not good, that nothing is happening. So that is like where those tendencies, they kind of are based on that. There is also a sense of ego. It is a different kind of ego. We hold on to some kind of a sense of identification. And then what happens? We are not willing also to take corrections. We are not willing to, those who are wiser than us, those who have especially the spiritual understanding, we are not willing to take corrections at that point. This is a tendency all of us go through. I'm not specifically saying someone will go through. All of us at some point some point in our sadhana, we go through these tendencies. So we have to keep vigilant. We have to be aware that these tendencies might arise in me at some point. And when they arise, am I open for corrections? Am I open for, we have to trust some people, in our life. We cannot be that kind that where we say, I will look after everything myself. Some people we have to trust has a solid source of wisdom. And this is the role of whom we choose as guru. Guru or gurus, the line of gurus and the guru. We have to choose that some people who will give us the proper guidance. They are not kind of the people who have a personal interest in, in getting something out of you. So those kind of things we have to rely on, and we all have some friends like that. If not, we don't have a guru, we should start with at least some well-meaning friends. And then the other question is that when we make a resolution, in Sanskrit the word sankalpa, once we take a sankalpa, that sankalpa is the guiding force of our life. It is that, especially if that sankalpa is blessed by gurus or teachers and all that sankalpa is a guiding force for your transformation. So you have to keep coming back to that sankalpa, and then you see your life and saying, am I living up to that sankalpa? So what does it take for me to bring about that changes in my life? So once we have made that sankalpa, every day we don't say, okay, today I will not follow sankalpa because today is not a good day. Tomorrow I'll do that. No, not like that. Once you take that sankalpa, we live up to that. And this is, in some traditions, every year you have to renew that sankalpa along with that, whatever guru mantra that you're taking. So that is, now comes so this a little bit inspiration here. You're never too weak to face your challenges because you have within you that Chaitanya Tattva, that Atma Tattva, that power of consciousness. And that power of consciousness is what empowers the body, mind, intellect, everything. So don't give in to doubt, self-pity, temptations. These are temporary things, don't give in to that. Get up and get going with your highest goals and aspirations of life. So when we make this determination, when we make a firm determination that all the forces, meaning God, energies, positive energies, everything will come our way. This is the law of nature, Person who takes a very strong sankalpa, all the other subsidiary energies of life, meaning that when Paramatma, the Lord, Saguna Brahma, blesses us, or when we seek refuge in that, then these forces will all come to overcome that negative samskara. So both our outward life and our inward life will change when we stay true to that sankalpa and follow the teachings and overcome that. Okay, now comes a very important, this is the last shloka we'll do for today. For Manana, in this shloka is where Arjuna slow transformation in his ability to become receptive, meaning that clutch of the ego, which doesn't allow him to go to the guru or seek the wisdom of the guru, that starts to loosen in him. So this shloka, he says, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma samudha chetaha yachreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. So this is a transformational point. Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. I am your disciple. I take refuge in you. Tell me what is right. So this is a very deep psychological point in our life when change can happen. When we open up and say that I need help, I need guidance, I am open to change. So that kind of a point is where knowledge can come, wisdom can come, and the blessings of Lord, gurus, and all the tradition, parampara, everything can come. See, unless there is receptivity, that guidance and wisdom will not come. As long as we feel that, okay, I will work this out myself, I'll figure it out myself, then that outer wisdom, that outer blessings will not come. Because we don't ask for it. We are not open for it. So that is where, here he realizes that with my inherent potential being overshadowed by the defects of self pity and mind, when mind being confused about right actions. So this is a sense of awareness where I am, what is my mental state. Being aware of our mental state is a very important aspect of our sadhana. Like, even to be aware that now I'm feeling angry, now I'm feeling emotions of fear. That not that we have to get identified, that impartial knowing that now anger has come in my mind, now temptations have come in my mind. This in itself gives that space between that observing of that and that object, that observer and the thing observed. That gap will come when we realize that between that what I'm seeing and that seer. And then what happens? Then the wisdom can come. So he says here, I implore you to tell me what is the higher path for me to. Yet Shreyoham, Shreyas and Prayas, these are the two paths of life. One path is a path of pleasure and which keeps us bound. And Shreyas, yet Shreyoham, tell me that which is Shreyas. Tell me the higher path, not the path where I'm comfortable. That is where. So how do we do Mananam on this shloka? So these are some of the questions we can ask ourselves. When there is right understanding and awareness, our weakness and limitations can be transformed into spiritual traits. So what are the spiritual traits? One of them is humility. Humility is a very important aspect of spiritual life. This is the main difference between a student of worldly education and a student of spiritual education. A student of worldly education is just studying. Sometimes there also receptivity is necessary, but they are studying with the hope that one day they will become a famous teacher or a famous some work, career, some self-interest is there in that level. Student of spiritual education wants to change himself, wants to improve himself. He wants to realize that higher truth. And if it is the role of, there is a need to serve, help, then he or she will help. But it is not out of that goal or desire to become famous or become that humility, reverence. We even, especially in traditions like the ones I belong, we always revere that all that knowledge came to us from the rishis, from Bhagavan, from the rishis. So we are always saying it is not my knowledge. I'm not giving you new knowledge. It's not like I, as today, Swami Nirgunaనంద, I have come up with this and giving you. This is the knowledge. But I try to realize that myself so I can become an instrument to offer that. So that is the humble attitude. So that is the important thing, transition, where we say, am I humble enough to accept that I don't know everything? That knowledge, worldly knowledge, always is limited. Nobody has complete knowledge. So how can I open my mind and be receptive to the life transforming truths of rishis and spiritually evolved guides in my life? So this is a question we can all ask ourselves. How can I be receptive? How can I keep an open mind? See, even when we are not feeling positive, even when we're not having emotions, it's not like only when I'm feeling good, I will learn and I will study. This is an important uh, thing to understand. It is not only when I'm feeling good, happy, or I have my day off, then I will study. I will. So even when we're not feeling good, we have to become aware and turn to the teachings, the life transforming teachings. Um, so just final words, some words for today, inspiration words. So this is a very famous kind of a adage which says that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And of course, this goes on all life, not like there's one time the teacher has come and it's all done. It's not like that. Teacher is there all the time. Are we open? Are we ready? We have to be ready every moment. There are teachings that come, at different levels in our spiritual growth. It may not be that there is that one physical guru also. We can as we evolve, we can be receptive. Of course, with the blessings of one guru generally, whom we take as the root guru. But at the same time, different scriptures, different teachings will reveal themselves to us when we are ready. So this readiness is not something that is like it will happen one day at one time after 10 years of practice. Of course, we say that sometimes because that time helps, but the time is again an illusion. That time is a concept. It's also to some lot of, it's a man-made concept, right? We say tomorrow in reference to like this this present moment. It is not manifesting now, so we give it a kind of a concept that it will happen at another moment. But in reality, that is a mental state of open-mindedness. That time is it's a mental state. Okay, so the true humility, that humility is what Arjuna has come to now. It is not a sign of weakness, but of greatness. Okay. So for today, we will leave it at this. Mananam classes are generally based on personalizing the shlokas. So, so I'll just say a closing prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Okay, Namaste everyone.